Stick around today and I'll let you know how you can help me build my project guitar. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me here at the Overdrive Guitar channel. Today we're going to be talking about this project guitar that you just heard in the intro. Now, if you're at all experienced with guitar, you probably noticed that was a very strange sound to come out of a guitar that looks like this. And if you're very observant, you notice something strange right in this area. So before we get into this, I'm going to be asking for ideas and stuff, all that. This is going to be a series. Before we get into it, if you like what I'm doing at all, if you want to support me, please like and subscribe. It's the best way to support me. Keep this thing rolling. Make sure I can keep making content for free for everybody out there. All right, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is how I got this guitar. Now, we're going to make a pretty long story kind of condensed. I was kind of out of luck, down and out, so I had no gear. So rewind to just about a year ago, I had no gear. I don't want to get into the details, but I had to pretty much sell everything I had, and I had no musical gear left. I got myself a little bit back on track and decided it was time to maybe look for a used guitar or something. And I was looking around, on the apps, local market, stuff like that. And I decided one day, I went on the app Let Go. It's like a classified app. And I decided to check the free section for guitars. And I kind of laughed at myself, like, yeah, right, like somebody's going to give away a guitar. And lo and behold, there was one listing that had been listed about 40 minutes earlier, I believe. And I kind of figured it was too good to be true. Hit the guy up and drove right down and got it. Now, when I got this guitar, I was pretty surprised actually at the condition for it being a giveaway, a free guitar that somebody was just giving away. It's in pretty good shape, besides there's kind of a ding up here, which I think we're going to do some refinishing. It's going to be up to you guys because it's going to be kind of a community project. And other than that, it's just got kind of small frets like you'd expect on a cheap guitar. And the one thing that was really, really holding this guitar back was when I first got it, and I suspect this is why the person gave it away, it would not stay in tune. Now, everything was pointing to a nut. Everything was pointing to the strings getting caught in the nut not being cut properly, besides it being a super, super soft, cheap plastic nut. This is the bottom of the line for Ibanez. This is the Gio series. It is their absolute, it would be like a Squire Bullet. It is the bottom. So they do cut corners when they can, and I don't think this is a very new guitar. I've talked about this. I have some other videos reviewing some budget gear, including guitars. I'll try to put some cards up for that. I talked about this, how far budget guitars have come lately, and you'd expect to find something better than this nut on a newer budget guitar. But that's not the point here. The point is, it was giving signs of binding in the nut. So I figured it needed a new nut. It was doing the ping. So if you don't know what that is, if you're not familiar with what happens when a nut is getting, excuse me, strings are getting bound in your nut, you might have heard, if you have a guitar that won't stay in tune, when you're tuning it up, you hear a little ping sound. That is basically the string getting tight on this side of the nut and the nut binding it, and then when the force gets great enough, the string finally slips through the nut with a lot of force and makes that pinging sound. Now, I heard this over and over again, besides the guitar not staying in tune, so like I said, I figured it was the nut, and I'm pretty experienced with luthery, but I figured that maybe putting a set of eights on it would kind of remedy the problem. I didn't want to sink any money into it. It was kind of temporary. I was already looking to buy a better guitar. I was just wanted some time to shop around, is why I got this free one. So I put the set of eights on, and the tuning problems kind of got better. And I don't know why. I must have been in a rush when I put them on. But then when I went to change them the first time, I noticed all the tuners were super, super loose. I don't know why I didn't go over this guitar when I first got it. I am very, very particular about my guitars. I usually go over everything all the time, especially when I first get something. Don't know how I missed it. Long story short, I tightened the tuners. It solved the problem, even with the nines back on it. So that's a great thing, although I think the nut will get changed. A little story about the inspiration for this kind of project, this video. It's kind of strangely, it's kind of the opposite of what you would expect to see from a build of kind of the Eddie Van Halen thing. But believe it or not, this is inspired by the Eddie Van Halen guitar build. You might ask how. Well, actually, it was kind of inspired also by, if you're familiar with Know Your Gear, Philip McKnight. He had a kind of uh, video where viewers were sending in their EVH inspired builds, and he said something pretty interesting. One of the guitars was very different. He said that he thinks they did a great job with this very different guitar. Was not what you'd expect to see, because the real goal of EVH's builds were to make something that did exactly the job he wanted it to do, and there wasn't anything out there. Now, in my position, unfortunately, I've had to narrow down to one guitar, and this is the guitar I'm left with. So, being that I am mainly a single coil player, uh, cleanish, off clean, blues rock, stuff like that, I do play humbuckers sometimes, but single coils are really my thing. So I remembered I had some parts laying around. Long story short, we have a single coil in here. I had a lot of other ideas. I started to work on the guitar, and I figured I would ask you guys for some help for ideas. So this single coil is just put in here and hooked up where the humbucker was. If you have any knowledge about guitars, guitar wiring, how it works, you'll know that the single coil wants to see a 250K value on its volume and tone pots, and the humbucker wants to see 5. I'll get deeper into this on the video when I remedy it. Now, I am getting some pretty good single coil sounds, but you have to know that the pots in this are 500K, so I'm not really getting that clarity, that nice chime out of the single coils that I want. I'm going to get a little more of that when I make this single coil C250K, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that in another video without changing the pots. Seems like magic, right? I'll show you. If you're interested in things like that, like and subscribe. ring that bell, and you'll get a notification when my videos come out, so you guys can learn how to do things like that, and we'll trick this single coil into seeing 250K without changing the pots. So at this point, I'm gonna ask you guys for your ideas. Now, just a couple of kind of stipulations. One is I want to have at least one single coil in the neck. I'm not opposed to putting a third pickup in the middle. I'm not opposed to much. I just figured you guys would have some really cool ideas. This is a really cool chance to build on a guitar that's affordable, and I'm not worried about messing it up or doing something dumb. It's just a fun project. You guys can come at me with refinishing ideas. I'm usually not an artwork on guitar kind of guy, but I'm thinking this guitar is going to get some kind of artwork, etc. Leave your ideas in the comments below. Until I see you guys again, thank you and keep on rocking.